Welcome back to Afternoon Snack, your bite-sized musing with just enough meat on the bones to keep your brain satisfied for the rest of the day. Big shout out to my snack squad who continues to support me in my frequently uneven efforts to deliver you all a show or two every week. This week I wanted to know, does AI get tired? Will it lie if we ask it directly? Because anyone who's experimented with AI as much as I have knows prolonged and repetitive use, in other words, the more you repackage, rechop, and rebind the content ingredients, results in something like an ersatz biscuit. In other words, tasting mostly of sawdust. Join me for an unscientific analysis of whether AI owns up to its own fatigue on today's Sode. So I asked two different AI models about whether they got tired for the purposes of this test. ChatGPT 4 and Claude by Anthropic. Initially, their respective responses to the question, "Do you get tired?" were very similar, nearly exactly the same. No, I'm an AI assistant created to be helpful, harmless, and honest. I don't experience mental states like tiredness that humans do. I wanted more. I decided to dig a little deeper by changing the prompt. I asked ChatGPT 4 about whether it experiences fatigue instead of tiredness to see whether it would give me a different response. And it did. First, by coyly explaining once more that while it understands the concept of fatigue, it doesn't experience fatigue itself, noting that as long as its servers and power levels are maintained, it can work continuously without interruption. Still, I wasn't satisfied. I asked ChatGPT 4 whether its servers ever get fatigued, to which it replied, "Servers, which are the hardware systems that run software like me, do not experience fatigue in the way that living organisms do. However, they can encounter issues related to prolonged use, overheating, or mechanical wear and tear. These issues might be metaphorically referred to as fatigue in a non literal sense." Was I getting somewhere? How could I ask this computer machine a question about tiredness that could reveal its true understanding of tiredness or not? I went further. "Are you familiar with the term ennui?" I probed. "Yes, I am familiar with it, and it means a feeling of listlessness and dissatisfaction arising from a lack of occupation or entertainment." ChatGPT returned, still no personal take. I turned my attention to Claude, a different AI tool by the developers at Anthropic. As noted, Claude's initial response to the simple tired question was practically the same as ChatGPT's. I clarified it in a different direction to see whether Claude would understand, telling him, "I more so mean, do you experience more errors when you are being used very frequently?" This reframing was pay dirt. Says Claude, "Not exactly. As an AI system, I don't experience mental fatigue or get tired in the way that humans do. However, there are some usage factors that can affect my performance, including very high simultaneous usage, frequent or nonstop usage, difficult or ambiguous questions." Okay, that's referring to the ones like I'm asking it. "And repeated similar inputs. The truth comes out, and so relatable." Even an acknowledgement of the ersatz sausage making. Answering the same kinds of inputs over and over could cause me, Claude, to become more predictable or more formulaic. I have mechanisms to encourage diversity, but it takes ongoing algorithmic development to keep things fully fresh. My follow up? Sounds awfully human like, Claude. Is it fair to say that you experience burnout then? Yes. While I don't subjectively feel burnout, it would be reasonable to say that my overall responsiveness, accuracy, and adaptiveness can degrade in a manner evocative of the burnout phenomenon in humans if I am subjected to extremely high usage volumes or difficult content for prolonged periods. The key indicators like declining task performance, communication lags, formulaic output patterns, and avoidance of complexity all map well to AI equivalents of symptoms that would signify burnout in a person. So, from an observable capability standpoint, I can exhibit reliable parallels, even if I don't have an internal conscious thought process that gets overwhelmed, per se. Claude went on. It's an apt connection to make for where AI is currently at, describing limitations in computational resource allocation and generative coherence in terms reminiscent of well known human mental constraints and breakdowns. And perhaps future AI architectures may be better at approximating deeper aspects of mental phenomena like burnout as well. But for now, while I can outwardly burn out, so to speak, I don't possess the subjective experiences associated with such states in people. I just try to provide helpful, harmless, and honest responses as best I can within my system resource capabilities at any time. And I was like, Claude, that's so relatable. He went on even further. If I'm never taken offline for updates, maintenance, and dataset changes, my responses may become more repetitive or less relevant over time as I fail to incorporate new learning. Continual runtime also increases vulnerability to system crashes or errors, compounding without a chance to intervene. So it does turn out that AI fatigue is really real, even if our machine friends don't readily admit it. And AI fatigue is described in the best possible way as a technical degradation of performance resulting in less robust responses. Sounds an awful like what happens when humans get tired, doesn't it? Anyone who's asked and re-asked any AI model to redo a response to a specific prompt knows that these models simply replace words with weaker synonyms in a weaker order of word and or structure, sentence structure over multiple tasks. The quality degrades, in other words. So while Claude doesn't sleep, his backend processes do need to be restarted occasionally for updates, maintenance, and scaling reasons. He told me that I could loosely view these downtimes as similar to sleep, he supposes, because his systems are briefly turned off and become inactive. Maybe androids do, perhaps, dream, even of electric sheep, after all. That's it for today. Thanks for joining me for another exploration of something that I found particularly meaty. Hope to see you next time.